Hi, teachers. When you look at your weekly overview in the curriculum, you'll notice that every single day has a little section for student preparation. Now, if you're like me, you've looked at these student preparations and you thought, in an ideal world, this is a great idea if our students would do them, but we know our students are busy. We know that seminary may not be their top academic priority, and these do feel a little bit like homework, and so maybe they wouldn't do it. But in our effort to provide our students with the best opportunity to talk in class and to engage in a lesson, I would recommend that maybe at least once a week, you give one of these student preparations its best chance. I think some of the rules for making the student preparation work is that it's actually fun and motivating. It's going to provide something that the students would want to do. So let me give you an example. So my assignment is Tuesday's lesson, which is Matthew 5:13 through 16. And you'll see here in the student preparation, the call-out box is also in the lesson, says the exact same thing. Who in your life is an example of Christ-like living in action? What do they do to reflect the light and love of God? And how do their actions affect you and others? Now, if we're going to make this successful, it needs to be set up at least a day in advance. I would recommend, since you're not going to do these every day, maybe giving it a whole week as an experiment, and then make it fun and motivating. And so, you could ask your students to consider the following questions, like it says here. But, in actuality, what's the likelihood your students are actually going to consider these questions? But what if you did something like this? I don't know. In my mind, I imagine like an FBI rap sheet or, a file that they have on somebody to look something like this. I have no reason to believe it's what it looks like, but this is treating a Christ-like person almost as though they're a suspect that you're going to try to investigate. And the suspected individual is Christ-like. So that's kind of what's funny about it, I think, is it's ironic here. We've got the scriptures that are covered in today's lesson. You are the salt of the earth, the light of the world. I've just put key words from the questions. We're looking for people who have Christ-like words and actions who reflect his light and love and his example. And so I'm trying to kind of make that really simple here. And then here's what I would encourage my students to do. Now, there's a couple of options with this. There's a low-tech option and then maybe a high-tech option. But this form could be really simply printed and handed out to your students and say, for the next week, I want you to think about somebody who you feel like is a Christ-like individual, and I want you to investigate them and look for evidences, proof that you can put forward that this person is a Christ-like individual, that they do reflect in their words and actions his light and love. And most importantly, you'll notice down here what impact you notice that they have on others. And I would even have a little fun with it. I would say you can look at their social media accounts and provide that as evidence. You could watch them just in daily life. You could take little pictures or videos of them if you want to do that. Don't be weird, but if you've got some evidence, some surveillance on them being Christ-like. And then at the end of this week, as you've been talking about Matthew 5 all week long, maybe have the students present their projects. Who is their Christ-like individual and what evidence did they see in their investigation? Now, there's a really good chance this is a terrible idea, but I just put it out there as a possible way, maybe fun and a little out of the normal for your students to do these student preparation. If you would like to use the form that I have created here, just go ahead and scan this now. It's on a Google Drive, and it'll link you over, and then you can just make a copy and then print it yourself. If you want to do an electronic version, you can copy it and then you can send the link to your own students and then they could upload pictures and things like that if you're that tech savvy. But I thought this could be a really fun and motivating idea for the students to do what the preparation material is inviting them to do and to see some relevance in what we're talking about this week. Always remember that the work you are involved in is of utmost importance. This rising generation needs shepherds like you to help lead them to Christ.